Hi guys, welcome to another Bootstrap 4 video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we're going to continue on with our Bootstrap Basics theme here. We started on our contact page yesterday and created this little hero section here. Today we're going to leave the sections we don't want and start building our form and address section. We're going to get rid of this FAQ section, and we're going to get rid of this pre-footer on this particular page, but we are going to recycle our address. So let's look in our folder. Here's our root folder. Here's our contact page we're looking at. Let's open it with our text editor. I'm using Brackets here. Brackets is absolutely free. If you need a text editor, then you can download Brackets from a link below here. Like I say, it's absolutely free. It's got some great features. So here's our FAQ section. I'm going to get rid of that completely. And we will get rid of the pre-footer, but I'm going to keep it for the time being. So I want to recycle our address section on there. Okay, so we've deleted that. Let's create a new section. I've done this many times before, and I'll give this the ID of CONT for sort of contact. And inside our section we're going to want, yet again, a div with a container, because we don't want it to be full width. Div class equals container. Also going to give it our class of gap 100, which will give it space top and bottom of 70 pixels, left and right of 0 pixels. So it's just a little class we created for some spacing. Now in between here I'm going to want two rows. I'm going to want one slightly smaller and one slightly bigger. And like we said many times before, with columns and rows with Bootstrap, we'll say div with a class equals row. With Bootstrap, the viewable area is made up of 12 equal sections. So if you want two, you divide it, two equal ones, you divide it by 12 by 2, you got 6 and 6. If you want one bigger than the other, we'll make one 4 and one 8, as long as they add up to 12. That's what we're going to do here today. Down below this video, you'll find a link also to a video that's dedicated to explaining columns and rows. So do take a look if you're not sure about columns and rows. So I've got a row here. Let's make our first column. Let's say we'll make this one. Actually, I'm going to make this one 12, a full row. It's okay, because anything I build underneath will fall down, because I'm going to put a header in here. So we'll give this div a class of column, say medium 12, so it's a full width column. That'll do nicely for what we've got going on here. And as it's a title, it's going to be full width. I'll give it the class of text center. So anything we write in there will be central, aligned centrally. And inside there, let's use our H2 title that we've been using. Now, probably going to want to make this white, because I'm going to give this a linear background like we've had before. Let's say, what shall our title say? How may we help you? As it's for a contact section. So that'll do nicely for a title. So we've got one column that's a full width, is going to be 12 with our title in it. Underneath, let's put another column of, say, we'll make this 4, so it's slightly shorter, and we'll make the one next to it 8. So we'll say div class equals column 4 column mid 4. And I probably want to give it a class of its own. Let's call it, this is going to be the address side, so let's call it contact address CAD. How's that? And then we can target it individually. So we'll have our address in there, and our next column, this is going to be a div with a class, and it equals column of mid 8. You see 4 and 8 add up to 12, so that'll take up our full width of a row there. Okay, now the first one, I'm going to steal our address. I've got that address over here, haven't I? Here we go. Reach out. So I just want to steal all of this here down to the bottom of the address. Plop them in the column of 4 that we just created. Right here. Let's just save that and see what we've got. It's not going to be too interesting because I want to put that our purple blue gradient behind the contour there. So let's save this. It's going to have a white background at the moment. We'll want to change that. Let's get our root folder out of the way. Let's go up a bit and refresh. Our FAQ section should disappear, and we should now have an address and a title up here. Well, we've got our address. We can lose this contact button. I want to turn this to our purpley gradient. I can now delete all this because we don't need it anymore. And if I turn this to our gradient, I'm probably going to want to change those colors and delete that button because we don't need it. So let's do that. First thing I'll do is I'll get rid of that button, which is right over here somewhere. Here we are, a class of button. Simply delete that. That's fine. Now I want to turn this section container. I want to have the background purple and blue, that gradient we've been using. So if that's going to be dark, then this needs to be light. Let's give it the class of H2W, which we created to turn our H2 white in situations like this. We'll deal with the font color in a moment. Let's go to our custom CSS. Let's save this, Control S, and here's our custom CSS we've been writing our styles with. Let's go down to the bottom where we left off. And for those of you that don't know, we created this custom style sheet right here in our root folder, and that's what we're looking at now. Now I'm going to want that gradient. Here it is right here. So I'm going to copy this gradient. In fact, I'm going to copy this whole thing. I'll just copy the gradient. Control C. Now our section ID was cont for contact. It's an ID, so it's a hashtag cont. Open and close some curly brackets, and inside we want to say background. Well, we just paste that bit of code that we copied, background image. There we are. We got that gradient there now. Alright, I think there's anything else we want for the moment, so let's save that. Control S, go back to the site. Okay, when we refresh, that button should disappear. This text will turn white, and our background should turn that gradient color. There we have it. That's great, but we need to turn this text white. I think we need to turn our icons perhaps to the red color or a white color. I think the red would stand out nice. text white icons, and then we need to add our form on the right hand side. So we can get rid of this too. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go down to our HTML. Okay, let's have a look. So I want this text to all be white. So we can call this text, give it the class of text light. That'll turn the text to a light color. Then we want to target the CAD icons to turn them red, so we can say .cad icon, and we can use our red color. So let's go to our, save what we got, Control S, go to our, so it was CAD and it was I, open and close from curly brackets, and we want to put our red color in there as the background or the color for the font. So it's color, that was our red color, which was E42448, I believe, 42448. And that should give our icons that red color now. It should stand out better. So let's save that. Back to the site and refresh. These should turn red and our writing should turn white. There we go. Now let's add our form on the right and lose our map. In fact, we've got to hold on to that until we put our Google map in there. So let's just put our form on the right. So here's our other column where we want to have our form. So I'm going to get a div with a class, and we're going to give it, say, contact form section. And I'm also going to give it a class just that's unique of CForm for contact form, just in case I need to target it at a later date with some custom CSS. Now inside here, I'm going to put a hidden div where our success message can pop up. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that an ID rather than a class. So we may want to scroll to it. So let's make a div. Class equals status. Alert. Now we don't want this to be seen until the form's actually sent. So we'll say style equals display none. So that really just wants to pop up once the message has actually been sent. I'm going to leave that div just in line like that, so I'm not going to split it up. Now we want to actually create the form, so it's going to be a form ID. So it's going to be a form with an ID of contact form. And we've got to give it a class. And we'll give it a name, which is contact form. And we've got to give it a method, which is what it's going to do, and we want it to post. A lot of this stuff won't make a lot of sense while we're building this, but we will be adding a PHP form that will send this mail, and so we've got to add an action, and the action is going to be the form, the PHP form that we'll create. We'll do that in a future lesson. I guess we'll call it send mail. .php. All right. Now then, inside our form, we've got to have some input types. So we're going to have a div with a class, form group, and inside this form group we've got to have an input type, which is a field basically where we're going to put some input, obviously. And what type of input type is it? Well, this first one is going to be your email address. So it's going to be an email. And what are we going to call it? Name is email. And it's a form control mail field basically. So it's also got the class form control, and it's a mail field. And we want it to be required because we want people to actually have the thing. Make sure we get our inverted commas in the correct places. And we want it to be required so they have to fill it out basically. And what do we want it to say in the gap? Well, that's the placeholder. And the placeholder is going to equal email address, I guess. Or your email. Whatever you want it to say. Right, so that's our first one done there. If I close that out. Tidy up that bit of space there. We can copy this. So that's for our email right there. Control C, we'll drop down one. And the next one's a form group. We want text name. We want this to be the subject. It's form control. It's not a mail field, so we can take that one off. We want it to be required as well, but we want the placeholder to say subject this time. Okay, and we'll copy this one again. So we've got our email, we've got our subject. What do we want our third one to be? Well, we will really want this to be a text area, so we'll write text area instead of input. We can get rid of the email. Name is message. And we've also got an ID of message as well. Class is form control as usual. We want to have it required, that's for sure. But we also want it to have 8 rows. We want it to be deep. So we'll say rows equal 8. So that's pretty deep right there. It's required, and the placeholder we want to say message. Of course, we've got to close it out because it's different now, so it's text area. So we'll close that out like that. Okay, and now all we need to do is add a button. So we'll start a new div, class of form group. And inside we want to put a button. So we're going to have a button. And it's going to be, the type is going to be submit. Class is going to be button or btn. Say button success. We might change that if it's the wrong color for us. I'm going to give it another class of its own called RBTN, because I'm going to float this button to the right. So that's going to be on a right button. Now what do we want the button to say? Something like reach out. I guess I don't need that gap there. I'll off center it. Okay, that should be our form there. I'm missing something here. So we're missing a div. It's like we're missing a div there. Let's just tidy this up. I'm going to just use the beautify. There we go. Let's save that and go and see what we've actually got. There we go. There's our form. What we'll do, we'll continue on with this tomorrow. I'll just tidy this up a bit. I'll float that over to the right. We'll get rid of this section and we'll add a Google map. So we'll leave that be for the time being. So there you have it. There's how to add your contact form to your Bootstrap 4 site. I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe and comment. If you're interested in web development, take a look down below. We've got some great free courses down there. We've also got some premium courses with some huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers, so do check it out. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.